coming on, first of
You're
all.
welcome.
I don't know are you in LA? Are you in
Thank you for having me. No, I actually live in Las Vegas. I have a home
Oh,
in Las Vegas, and I have a home in Florida as well.
oh, okay. So you like it hot.
I do. I'm originally from DC. Go Caps. I'm originally from DC, Silver Spring, Maryland, and man, I woke up every morning with the ice on the windows and having to go out an hour early to and shovel snow. And I was a little fat kid, and fat kids should not be shoveling snow. You know what I mean? It's not good. Fat anybody fat anything should not be shoveling anything. If you know what I'm saying. Now I'm a fat man, but I used to be a fat boy. I was actually in really great shape when I was an actor, and even then I was super. It's funny as I look back at this, I was super critical of like my body image, for lack of a better word, and or phrase, and I really was not that bad. But unless I was in like peak, condition, like when I did The Principal, for example,
Mhm.
I was probably in the best shape of my life. I was buffed, I was cut, like very little body fat. Then when I did 976 Evil, I was 150 pounds and super cut. And then when I did 976 Evil, I was like 142 and thin and super cut. Like, I had some good guns, nice guns, you know what I mean? And now forget it, game over. Now I'm like 300 pounds and life's been good, and buffets are fantastic,
Yes, are.
and they're too good. I always take eating at buffets all you can eat like a challenge, you know what I mean? Like I want to
Yeah.
win. I'm a very competitive guy, so I want to win. They won't get the best of me.
Yeah, right. It's like, all you can challenge accepted.
Exactly. And it's the funny thing is, in America, I don't even know if they have a lot of all you can eats in Europe and other parts around the world,
Yeah.
but only in America can you pay almost the same price that you would pay for just a regular portion meal that you could pay for like 7 meals in an all you can eat. And it's the same price, and they just know they sucker us in and they give us the food, and we do it.
I don't
You
know. I
know,
don't understand how it's feasible for these places to do that though either. Like
well, I think it starts with anything. Like they're obviously buying in bulk. They're buying in bulk, right?
hmm,
And my parents owned a restaurant in Santa Monica, California, called Maryland Crab House. I'm from Maryland originally,
hmm.
and I know that even our food, we were on the higher end because it was a seafood restaurant. Seafood's typically a little more expensive, but um, it's I don't know. I don't know how the buffets do it. I know they lose money on some people for sure. And then they also rely on you to have salad,
Which is very
which,
cheap.
well, yeah, which I never say. If you ever go to a buffet, lay off the salad, get to the good stuff. Mm,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
know,
You're not there for the salad. You can have
no,
it
no,
at home. You're not there for the salad. You're there for
no,
like the hot roast and the potatoes or wherever you're going. You want like the good stuff you're not going to get anywhere else.
absolutely, absolutely. See, you're a woman that knows. You're a woman that's in the know.
I love
I
my food.
shouldn't. I shouldn't have said a woman. I should have said you're a person in the know.
I'm
But
a woman. I was born a
oh,
woman.
you. Oh,
I'm a
oh,
woman.
okay. Okay, cool. Very good, very good. Too much
I'm almost 40
PC.
years old. I'm a full grown woman. So
You are a full grown woman. Too much PC shit going on in the world today. So anyway, it's crazy. There are some things that I can't even post, like on my page. Like I've become so self conscious about posting stuff on my page because someone will get offended by this and that. And I used to pride myself on a guy that didn't really care what too many other people thought, just
Mhm.
because there's a theory that says I can accept your love, but if I worry too much about your love, instead of me loving myself, then I run the risk of being hurt or abandoned because you can always take your love back where I am less likely to.
Right. No, that's true. That's true.
And so because of that, I try to stay true to myself. But I like there's some things like friends will send me, and I'll be like, "Oh, that'd be great. That's so funny. I'll put it on my wall." And then it was like, "Yeah, somebody's gonna make a comment, and then I'll have an issue, and blah blah blah." And
Yeah,
so
it's crazy anymore.
yeah, it is. It really is.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're on current events. So anyway, yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's really nice to be had by anyone. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and taking the time. I know it was kind of like a jumble, like what would you call it? Like a double dutch back and forth, more so on my end. And then I know you
What?
kind of got more into the convention circuit going on right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a long, short, long version, longer. I was an actor for 20 years and had a really nice career. And then in 2000, I lost everything in the stock market.
Oh,
Like I mean, broke, like homeless, bankrupt, foreclosure,
oh,
and I went to jail a couple of times,
I've been there.
and it's not good. Yeah, no, I don't recommend it,
Yeah.
and I don't recommend the homeless thing either. It's just I found out that I'm really not good. I'm not a very good prisoner. I'm not a very good homeless person. So I try to focus on the things that I'm good at and get better at it. But yeah, so what happened was it was probably about as far down as you could go. And I my best thinking was that remember, I don't know, you might be too young for this, but remember let me see if I'll name one. Oh, the Incredible Hulk. Okay, you
Yeah.
know the Incredible Hulk.
Mhm.
Okay. And there was a show called Lucan back when I was a kid and Kung Fu with David
Oh,
Carradine.
yeah. Kung
So
Fu, the legend continues or whatever.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So all these guys basically had the same premise where they would go from town to town, with a little backpack. They
Hmm.
would go from town to town, have a little adventure, kick a little ass, maybe they'd have a romance, get these odd jobs, uh, dishwasher in a restaurant or whatever. And and then they'd have an adventure and then they'd move on to the next town.
Hmm.
And I thought, well, I guess this is what I'm going to do now, And luckily, something happened. I don't know what it was. But by the grace of God, someone came along and said, "Hey, I was working at this really, really shitty job that I hated. After having this 20-year career, I was working as a personal trainer in a gym
Okay.
in Culver City, and I would be training actors, and they would look at me and they'd go, "Hey, weren't you in?" And I'd say, "Yeah," and I'd drop down and give me 20. And I hated this job because I hated the people in the job. I hated training the hot chicks who kept looking at themselves in the mirror rather than like focusing on what we were doing. Um, I didn't really care about the the minor league ball players who were also there. Some of them were cool, some of them were just arrogant little fuckheads. And finally I'm sober 25 years now, and at the time I was just a few years sober, and people in program were telling me, "Hey, don't go to collect a paycheck. Go to be of service." And so what happened was I went to this job, and one day this woman, elderly woman, 70 years old, the owner said, "Hey, I have a new client for you. Why don't you see if this works for you?" So I started talking to her, and within 10 minutes, she started crying. And I said, "Why are you crying?" And she said, "Because I've talked to every single trainer in this gym, and no one listened to me except you."
Oh.
And then I started crying because I'm more of a talker than a listener, admittedly. And so this just kind of got me in the feels, as the kids say. And so I started crying. So I went back to the owner and I said, "Okay, I'll take her." And he was like, "Okay, well, you can get her for 5 days a week." And just the way he was saying it, it was like I could get her, like I could take advantage of her.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, at this point, I lost everything in the stock market. I had just finished doing a movie called Almost Famous, and it was about to come out. I had I started with $20,000 in the stock market on November 1999 or December 15th, 1999.
Okay.
And by February 15th, 2000, I had 190,000 in the stock market. And I thought, shit, this is my reward for right living because I was sober a couple of years. And I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire. Watch this. This is incredible. This is great. And then of course we know what happened with the dot-com crash and lost everything.
Yeah.
And this was after this successful acting career. Um and so what happened was, I was at this gym. I met this woman, and the owner said, you could get her for 5, 7 days a week. And at the time, sleeping on mom's sofa at 35 years old, what was supposed to be 3 months turned out to be a year and 3 months. I said, he said you could get, and it was $60. This is what it was, $60 an hour for a one-on-one session, and I got 35 of that, and the store got 25.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said, you can make a lot of money, and $35 an hour when you're sleeping on mom's sofa at 35 years old. I didn't have much of a social life back then. I couldn't pick up, meet a girl and go, hey, want to go back to my mom's sofa? So it was not good. And I went back to her. Her name was Edna. She was 70 years old, by the way. She was 242 pounds. She was a short little thing.
Oh.
And she had been in a car accident. She was a diabetic. She couldn't even raise her leg off the ground.
Oh, wow.
And again, all the other trainers in the gym were like interested in the hot chicks and the ball players and what was cool. And what kept playing in my mind was, don't collect a paycheck, be of service. And I thought, here was a person that God sent my way, and I could be of service to them, And so I went back to Ed and I said, look, this is what the owner wants me to do. One-on-one, $60, but this is what I'm going to do. I can put you in what's known as a class, and that'll only be $30 instead of 60, of which I would only make 17 instead of 35, by the way. And I just won't ever put anyone else in the class with you. I'm allowed to put up to 2 other people in the class. And if he puts somebody else in my class for time or whatever, I'll still always focus on you primarily, And she was okay with it. I was okay with it. 1 year later, she went from 242 to 170 pounds. She had to buy a whole new wardrobe. There's a reason why I'm telling you all this. She had to buy a whole new wardrobe. Her doctors called me and said, you literally have changed this woman's life. And I was pleased, but I was still so unhappy working at this job in this gym.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just not my calling. I just wanted bigger, And what was happening was in program, when I first got into program, they were saying things like, well, if you're not grateful for what you have, then what makes you think God will give you any more? And as I got a little bit of time in program, somebody said, you can be grateful for what you have and still want more. It's okay. And I was like, oh, and it gave me permission to want more. And I was like, good, because I fucking want more,
Oh.
And so I let Edna know that I was going to be leaving the gym. And she said, well, what is it you're going to do? And then it went back to that plan about traveling from city to city, with my possessions, going to sell everything in storage, whatever, because I was bored. There was no purpose. I had no purpose at that point. And she said, well, what would you really like to do? And I said, all my life, I'd always made money for other people, whether I was an actor in the entertainment industry, whether I was working behind the camera. I worked behind the camera in production for 3.5 years, doing everything, art department, PA, AD. I was a boom operator. I'm a short guy, but I was a boom operator. A lot of ladders carrying around, step stools. But I said I'd always made other people money, and I said, I got kind of a good head, I'd love to actually own my own business. She said, what kind of business? And I said, I don't know. And I was looking at things that were like low maintenance type businesses that I could own, like laundromats.
Mm-hmm.
Not laundromats. Sorry, that's a high maintenance business. I was thinking more like no laundromats. I was thinking dry cleaners, which is a more high maintenance.
Yeah, that one definitely. is.
Yeah. So like it was like coin-op laundromats and vending machines and things like that, vending machine routes and things like that. And finally I said, real estate would be cool because I also worked in art department on film sets and music videos. And I actually built the sets for a lot of really famous music videos. Um, won't go into it, doesn't matter. But if anyone's interested, they can look it up under jjcoheninternational.com. Just click on the links that says resume, and you can see my production resume and whatever. But seems like so long ago, it was like another lifetime. And so I said real estate, and she said, well, how much would you need? And I said $30,000. And I only said $30,000 because I thought that's what my parents started with to make their restaurant, which they turned into $1 million business.
Mm.
And my father had offered it to me, but I was like, no, I'm an actor, that's my thing because I'm smart guy. Turned out $1 million business to be an actor. But I had a great career as an actor. But anyway, so I went into real estate and I borrowed this $30,000. And in the first few years of the company, I turned it into 600,000, and I retired at 42. I'm now
Okay.
50. I'm now 56, and I'll be 57 next month in about 30 days, and that's it. So now I got divorced shortly after that, and then my mom got sick. So I started. So getting back, this is a very roundabout way to answer
No,
your question.
no, I get it. I totally get it.
But the about going and doing cons. So I did a few cons. They wanted me to do cons in 2005, which was the 20-year anniversary of Back to the Future. And at that time, I was doing the real estate investment firm. And so after that, by the way, I was asked to participate in a book on success, and I became a business guy more than an artist guy for a while there, and then and now I'm just a fat guy. But anyway, so hold on, I'm getting messages. It's blocking your pretty face. Okay, there we go. I see you again. You know how when the messages come down on your phone?
Yeah, and they linger there for a minute.
Yeah, so it was like that. So I couldn't see like hardly any of you, and now you're back. So anyway, where was I?
Your mom.
I was thinking about the message. Okay, my mom. So my mom got not sick. She just got older, and I had four sisters. None of them were stepping up. I was doing. I kind of had a snobbish attitude in 2005 because I guess I was like, oh, fuck Hollywood. You know what I mean? They didn't deserve me. They're not good enough. Blah blah blah. And this was actually after having a successful career. I had that attitude because you just take a lot of shit and you just go through a lot of shit. There's a lot of really shitty people. But what you find out is there's a lot of shitty people everywhere, not
Yeah.
just in the entertainment industry. And there's also a lot of good people too. But you'll find more good people, I think, if you stay off social media than you will bad people, because most people on social media, myself included, there's an agenda, Like if I wasn't doing these cons and if I wasn't, um, I wouldn't need to really be on Facebook. It's like when I first joined Facebook in 2008, 2009, they said, hey, it's a great way for you to reconnect with people in high school. And I was like, oh, awesome. And then I thought, wait, I hated those people in high school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they probably hated me too. You know what I mean? And like when I moved from Maryland to California, I didn't want to keep in touch with anybody back in Maryland. I mean, Maryland was, my sister used to make a joke and she used to say, Maryland is just so square. I mean, you move out to California and everybody's so hip and cool. And, you go back to Maryland and you go, hey, I'm gay. And they go, yeah, I'm happy too. So not that I'm gay, but not that there'd be anything wrong if I was.
No, but I get what
But,
you're saying. It was like
but yeah,
different vernacular at the
completely. And so they're a little out of touch, They're a little out of touch. Small town, smaller town. um, so getting back to the point is, um, I had this kind of snobbish attitude when they first asked me to do it, and hold on, the message came back again. Actually, you know who it is? It's the guy who connected us, John,
Oh,
who's actually my location scout, assistant tour manager, et cetera, et cetera. He carries many titles. He's sending me text messages, and they're coming down. So sorry about that.
no worries. John's a cool guy.
Um, so anyway, so I kind of had a snobbish attitude, and I was doing this real estate thing that I was involved in. So I was like, no, I'm too busy. I can't really do it. Sorry. And of course, nobody knew the cons were going to blow up to where they are today, where they're just, very, very big and very big money makers and et cetera, et cetera. So I said I wasn't going to do it. And then I became my mom's caretaker. And 2 years into it, I was asked again. So in 2010, 11, I think I did like maybe 3 or 4 cons, and it was really nice, and they were great. And then what happened was my mom's health declined, and I couldn't really go away weekends. I really needed to be there for her. Um, she became my primary focus. I stopped everything to take care of her. I was in relationships with women, and they would say, "Hey, why don't you put your mom in a home, and you and I could, build some kind of life together." And I was just like, "No, I can't. I can't do that." And and
Yeah.
and the truth of the matter is, I really didn't want to. I'm not interested in relationships at this point in my life,
Yeah.
long-term relationships, etc., especially. So I'm comfortable. I'm happily single. Um, I so anyway, at that particular point, my um, I couldn't do any shows, so I moved my mom to Vegas, and I took her everywhere. Wayne Newton kissed her, and it was
Oh,
it was a highlight. Yes, yes, it was a highlight. And we used to go dig some jazz. And I'm actually here now in Vegas right now for the last month or so. I'll be here for about another month, and then I'll go on tour, which we'll talk about in a sec, if you want to.
yes.
And um, I'm gonna go dig some jazz, man, at some of these places where we went to. There's like I'm very old school. My parents kind of raised me with this, the big band era, and
Oh, yeah.
just real cool hip shit, man. If you can dig it, and like My Funny Valentine, and
Oh.
I started in musicals, and
Mhm.
so My Funny Valentine. Like I'm putting together a show here in Vegas, 2, 3 nights a week. One of the casinos is interested. I always wanted to play Broadway as an actor. I never got a chance to, but hey, I could play Vegas, and that's the next best thing.
That's
So
awesome. That's super
I'm
cool.
pretty excited about that. So it's going to be a comedy show with music. And but getting back to my mom, so she passed. They said they were only giving her 1 to 2 years.
Mhm.
It wound up being about 10 years that I took care of her,
Oh,
and it was almost my entire 40s. And I'm really not that nice a guy. If I knew that it was going to be a 10-year thing from the beginning, I don't know if I would have done it. Um, but the doctors were giving her 1 to 2 years in the beginning, and I thought, well, shoot, I could do this for 1 to 2 years. I turned 30,000 to 600. I got 600 in the bank. I can do this, 1 to 2 years, and then get back to my life. And uh, she didn't die after 1 to 2 years. So the
she's
doctors gave
yeah.
so the doctors gave her another 1 to 2 years. Turns out if you don't pay the bill, they give you more time. So I said, listen, stop giving her more time, because not that I didn't want her to have more time or didn't want her to have more time. It's that when somebody puts a time limit on your life, it's really hard to wake up every morning wondering if the person in the next room is going to.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very, very depressing state of mind. And the doctors weren't aware that they were doing that, because for going to medical school and seemingly being very intelligent people, they're not as intelligent as we think or give them credit for. I mean, I've had many doctors come up to me as clients and say, "Hey, listen, I make a lot of money as an actor, as a doctor. Can you find me some real estate investments that lose money? Because I need to take deductions off of my
Mm,
high salary." And I said, "You know what? You have the wrong guy." I said, "I would never ever look for an investment that loses money." I said, "There's certain structures you can put in place, and without making this about all about finance, um, where you can you'll still pay taxes, but there's certain things you can do where you won't have to pay as much taxes, and you can shelter it through real estate investments and certain tax shelter things that are legal that the government allow you to do." And the difference between rich people and poor people, mind you, I want to make it very clear to anyone listening, is education. And what I mean by education is I don't mean college. I mean educate yourself. There's, especially now with the internet, if
mhm.
you really want to be a millionaire and you're not, then you're not trying hard enough, especially with the internet. And not everybody wants to, by the way. They want to make a lot of money, but then they see, I mean, there's a lot of discipline that goes with making a lot of money. There's a lot of stuff you have to give up. I mean, I remember even when I was an actor, my parents, and I didn't have much of a social life, and my parents were, like going, "Hey, listen, we need to talk. Are you gay?" And this was one of the questions they asked me as an actor, and I said, "No. Why are you asking me that?" No, they're like, "Because you're never dating, whatever." I'm like, "No, I'm just super focused on wanting to be a successful actor,
Yeah.
and I don't have time for. I mean, between going to classes and auditions and then trying to book stuff and then whatever my regular life was. I think at that time, actually, I was a busboy in their restaurant. Um,
Like you didn't see the hot front of the house chick that we hired? You don't want her?
so but it's been, I mean, my love life in general, that's just been absolutely incredible. I mean, I've been in love and been in relationships with some of the most beautiful women in the world and some of the most beautiful inside and out. I I have dined in restaurants that most people can only dream of. I actually was in Paris, France, and had lunch. I met this woman in Brussels. My buddy and I were backpacking through Europe. I know this interview is all over the place,
No, no, it's
but
cool.
my buddy and I were backpacking through Europe, and I met this girl in Belgium, in Brussels, in a jazz club, as a matter of fact, called Blues Corner or Blues Club, might have been jazz, and she was from Helsinki, and Americans were some of us are dumb, and I said, "Oh, Helsinki, Poland must be beautiful this time of year," and for those that don't know, Helsinki's in Finland. But anyway, so I said, she said, "Yeah, it's in Finland." I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And anyway, I fell madly in love with this woman, and we went and had a relationship for a year, and we rendezvoused in the States. And also, we rendezvoused in Paris, and I had lunch. This is where I was going with this. I had lunch at the Jules Verne restaurant, which is like halfway up the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, okay.
It's in French, I think it's Le Tour Eiffel, and it's on the Champs Elysees. And
Easy.
I took broken French. I mean, I studied French for like 3 years in high school,
Yeah.
and I remember trying to speak French there, and I'd be like, "Je voudrais une carte," and they'd be like, "Just speak English, just speak
Yeah.
English."
Please stop butchering this. Just
I don't even know if I was totally butchering it. I think they just didn't even want me to try because I
oh,
was American. You know what I'm saying?
okay.
Um, but in any case, poo poo on the French. So
I know we.
um,
Oh, that's about it.
yeah, well, that's good. What else more do you know? Um, I mean, what else do you need to know? And please, s'il vous plaît.
Yeah.
S'il vous plaît, if you learn please and thank you in every language, it's a great start, you know.
Right.
Um, But anyway, so I met this woman who was madly in love, and we had dinner at this place. And this was a place where you had to book out like months in advance. And somehow I got lucky because we were only there for 1 week. And I said, well, how about this day? And they said, we can't do it that day. Sorry, we're totally booked for dinners. And I said, well, what about lunch? And they said, we have one reservation on Saturday. It's the last reservation of the day at 1:15. I said, I'll take it, you know. And it was great. We dressed up and it was beautiful, man. It was, I mean, and it was exquisite food. It was absolutely exquisite. And this was back when I was drinking, so it was even more fun. It was even more fun then. But it was, we just had a great time. And it's, I've traveled a lot, you know. There's still some places I still would like to see, but I've traveled all over the country, all over the world. I mean, between acting and real estate, it's really been a beautiful life, you know. There's been a lot of tragedy and sucky shit that has happened too. It hasn't been all uphill, but I've had many, many failures in my life, many more failures than successes. This is actually some of the stuff of what's written about in a book, excuse me, that I contributed to called Jumpstart Your Success. 23 top speakers share their insights on creating more success, wealth, and happiness. And I'm one of the authors, co-authors, along with a guy by the name of Brian Tracy. I don't know if people know who Brian Tracy is, but he's very, very prominent speaker and business leader and author. He wrote a book called Eat That Frog. It's about doing the most difficult thing first in a task of things to do, and then all the other things will be easier or seem easier.
Yeah, like mom taught me when, eat that frog. It reminds me of like when you're a kid and you have a
It's like
plate.
delayed gratification.
Yeah, it's like eat the thing you really hate the most first, and then
Right.
get into the rest of it.
Now, here's an interesting thing. That's how I've lived the majority of my life. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's worked for me. But when I took care of my mom for those last 10 years, she did the exact opposite. And for the 10 years that I took care of my mom, I learned something very, very interesting. Eat dessert first. When you get a new blouse or pants or whatever, wear them that day or the next day. Don't wait for the special occasion. It may never come. It's really living in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something you really kind of have to experience and see to understand it.
Right.
So many of us walk around with scowls on our faces, myself included, but I'm getting better at it, especially doing these cons. See, I don't have kids. So my legacy is basically the people that I can touch between now and the time that I die. And the best way for me to do that is to go and attend these cons at this point in my life. But my mom almost always walked around with a smile on her face. My mom, and she wasn't always happy or feeling no pain, because there's a lot of pain from 75 to 83, you know. I mean, shit, there's a lot of pain from 48 to 57, I can tell you, you know, right now. But she always had a smile. She would always find something to come. She would look at you and she'd go, "That, I love that top. Your hair is so beautiful." And then of course you'd go, "It's a wig."
Yeah,
And she'd go, you know, because she used to dye her hair red, so people would compliment her and say, "Oh, I love your hair," and she goes, "I'll tell you the formula," you know. But but it was, she just, there's something, you know, and my grandfather kind of had it too when he got older, and that is, we're always trying to pick and choose our battles. We're told that through our whole life. Towards the end, like the last 10, 15 years, you just, you don't have any more battles. That's the key to realize. And the sooner you can realize it, any of us can realize it, that there really are no battles. They're only the battles we create. They're only the attachment that we create. That's where the pain comes. from.
Mhm.
And if we can detach from it, if we can release from that stuff, then we have happier lives. And it seemed to be that her whole thing was about not just having a positive interaction with someone, but making a point to say something to make the other person feel good. You run a lovely shirt. Oh my God, your wife, I'm in love with your wife. Your wife is beautiful. She'd say to older men and whatever. And it was just really sweet. And I mean, that's not how I was raised. You have to understand. My mom was incredibly abusive. She was a pillhead. We were beaten on a regular basis as children. I mean, with dog leashes, with paddles. I mean, one of the reasons why you too, one
I
of
feel
one of the
no.
one of the reasons why I think I had such success so quickly in life was because my mom's was in the back of my head. You're no goddamn good. You'll never be any good. And when I became her caretaker in the end, and I would share this stuff with her, and she'd be like, I was wrong. I was so wrong. And I don't want to start crying now, but there were beautiful moments my mom and I had, in the last 10 years. And we became friends. And in 2000, she passed in July 2016. In 2019,
Mhm.
I got an email from someone and said, "Hey, listen, would you like to do these cons again?" And I was like, "Nah, I had a small role in that thing. I don't really care. I'm good." I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm an avid poker player, tournament poker player.
I saw something about that online, but like it was like you had like your hand or something, and I couldn't tell if that was you or not because there are other guys online with the same name. They're just like in their 20s and stuff. So I was like, is that him?
Yeah, that was me. That
Okay.
was I was probably like
Yeah,
this.
I had your hand on
Yeah.
your face. I couldn't see clearly, and I was like, oh, that's
I,
him. That's pretty
I
dope.
was laughing because of the huge stack that was in front of me.
Yes.
And I've become a student of the game, just like I was a student of the acting, just like I was a student of real estate and finance. I've become a student of the game in poker, and I only play tournament poker. I don't play cash. I've cashed over $125,000 in tournament cashes. My goal is 1 million. I'm at the point now where I'm finally listening to all my buddies who play. I was only playing 80 and $100 dollar buy-ins,
Mhm.
and that's why I have so many uh, games played. If you look on like Hendon Mob website, JJ Cohen Poker Player,
Mhm.
it'll show you like my record of
Yeah,
online
all the way down.
and and there's a lot of first places on there, and I've beat a lot of guys who are millionaires.
Mhm.
And my friends are like, "It's time, man." And I was like, "You know what? It is." And I was always nervous because I didn't think I could ever compete with these guys. And then this year, for the first time, I started buying into like $400 tournaments and $600 tournaments and $1,500 tournaments and $2,000 and $5,000 tournaments. And the reason why that's significant is because the $100 tournaments, the best that's probably going to get me in most cases is $1,000.
Right.
Now I'm going to have to make a lot of $1,000 this is to get to 1 million. You know what I'm saying? But if I play in these $300 and $400 tournaments, I might be able to get 19 to 26,000. If I play in a $2,000 tournament, I might make 100,000. You know, if I finish high in the standings, but I got to get in there and compete. And I've met some of the pros. Again, a lot of these guys are very douchey and assholes, and but some are enlightened. There are some I found pretty enlightened, and I try to stick with those guys and learn. And again, stay a student of the game. In 2017, I got a poker coach and a mental game coach.
What?
Again, just taking it serious. Well, do you know that there are some guys talk about douchey poker players? Do you realize that poker is a game that has an element just like we use in war tactics, and it's called bluffing.
Yes.
And one of the things that we do in war, when we fight wars, are we make it seem like we have a stronger army over on this side, ready to, get you, when we really don't have that many men, or it's an army tactic. That's kind of how it came about. And but there's an element of this bluffing. And so what happens is it's not really what cards I have, but it's what cards I make you think I have. And there's a number of different ways to do that. How you bet, how your bet frequency, your bet sizing. There's different kinds of bets, what they mean. There's body language. There's just a number of different things to look at. It's a very, very simple game that's very hard to master. And then there's also the element of luck. In poker terms, we call it variance, and in tournaments especially, there's a very high variance to the game. In other words, you could do everything right and still lose the hand. You could have aces. I could have aces. You could have pocket twos, and you win with a flush because one of your twos was a club, and there's four clubs on the board.
Okay.
And it's one of the worst ways to lose. I can tell you right now, lose a hand. But it's great if you're on the winning side of it. And that's the thing too. You have to keep playing. You can't stop. You can't quit. That's the thing. And if you have that kind of mentality and you're a very competitive person, and most people who are actors, who are trying to be actors, are. I just spoke with this because I run into this a lot, especially on social media, where you constantly have people going, I wonder if I should really be an actor. I don't know. It's kind of hard. And gee, and it's like, you know what? If you feel that way, especially if you're new, like under 5 years, quit, because you don't have it, man. You don't have what it takes. It's not going to come about. You might get lucky and get something for a string, but eventually you're going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
To do anything. Now, keep this in mind. When I became an actor because of my passion for performing. I started in the theater, and I came out to applause that was a little bit more than the guy previous when he came out for his curtain call. And that was a huge high for me because I wanted to be better than average. I didn't want to just be average. And that was a big deal. And that's what propelled me because, again, I came from the theater. So the applause was everything. The first year I went out on 30 auditions, I never got one call back. I never got anything, let alone a call back, It wasn't until like my second year or third year that I started getting things, and even small things at that. You're always going to be your own best agent.
And your own worst.
You will be your own worst critic. But my point is you don't have to rely on anybody else to be a critic. We often rely on other people to be an agent and go, well, my agent's just not getting me out. Good. Don't wait for him. You get yourself out. Find out, figure it out, do it. There's no free lunches on any of this shit. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard work to be successful. Kevin Hart is not the most talented guy. He's really not. But he knew he wanted to be a star. He's funny, don't get me wrong. But I mean, after a while, isn't it, enough already with Kevin Hart? And there's nothing against him personally, but it's like, okay, but he really does. He works his ass off to not only have gotten there, but to keep it, to maintain it. Pitbull talks about it all the time. He goes, it's not about getting there. It's about maintaining it once you get there. And you have to really, really want it. Now, let me be clear. My passion, I do believe, is what made me successful in the entertainment industry. And before, when I said I had many, many more failures than successes, that is true. But my successes have been so big that they far outweigh the many, many failures. And I talk about that a little bit in my book. And the point of it is, Don't worry about failing. Make failing a part of your success plan. You have to be willing to fail because you're going to anyway at
Oh, yeah.
certain things. So you have to be willing to make it a part of the plan, you know. Um,
And a learning
and
point, because if you failed, you don't want to fail again, so you need to learn from why you failed, and you know.
correct, correct. It might be something you did. It might not be something you didn't do. It might be someone else who you're involved with that needs to be gone, you
Hmm.
know. If you're the smartest person of the top 5 people in your circle, you're not going anywhere. You need
Yeah.
to get people that are smarter than you in your top 5 circle and learn from them, you
Hmm.
know. Um, but I'll tell you this, my passion is what drove me as an actor. That's not what made me successful in real estate. It wasn't because I wanted to be the best actor. I wanted to win Academy Awards. When I got into real estate, I didn't give a shit how great I was at real estate. I wanted to be a millionaire. Period. End of story. I was tired of being broke. It sucked. It wasn't going to happen. I had a 5 year plan. I'm going to start with this $30,000. I'm saying it in this tone for a reason. You'll see why in a second. I start with this $30,000, and in 5 years, I'm going to double my money every year: 30, 60, 120, 240, 480, 960. At the end of 5 years, I'm going to have $960,000, $1 million. Now, I didn't know anything about taxes. I didn't realize I was going to have to pay some of that in taxes. I
Shit.
didn't, but this was my general idea. And when I went to, not unlike anything that happened when I was starting as an actor, when I went to lawyers and accountants and I said, "Listen, I have a 5 year plan. I'm going to turn $30,000 into $1 million." And they were like, "Oh, that's cute. That's adorable. It's adorable. You want to do that? Listen, why don't you set a meeting when you get the 30 to 100,000? All right, just get it up to 100. We'll go from there." On my very very first house, I made a profit of $7,000 in 9 months, and I thought, "Shit, this is not good. I might have to go back to acting." And and it's just that's not a lot of money. 7,000 in 9 months. That's like what? That's 10,000 a year, maybe. So wealth ain't coming to me that way. I can tell you that. So we had to step it up, and I'm trying to make this not just a question and answer type interview. I'm trying to do this in seminar form also to help give your listeners at least some incentive to do better, be better,
Yeah.
have more, do more if they want to. And if they don't, then that's fine. But I can tell you that the title of your show, Any Last Words, especially when you become 57 and your father died at 60 and your sister died in 2019 at 57,
Oh wow.
you start to get nervous. Geez, do I really want to do a show with this chick called, Any Last Words? That's not fucking good. And I started thinking of Dame Judith Dench, the actress, who
Oh
wrote
wow.
a book, and it was called And Furthermore. And that's the title of the book. And so it's basically her going on and on about whatever it is she feels and her opinions. Ted Turner, I don't know if you know who Ted Turner was. He used to run the Turner Network, TNT. You might
Mhm.
know it by TNT, the TV station. He used to always have an opinion about everything, always gabbing. And he said, "When I die, they'll put on my tombstone, he had nothing left to say." You know. And it's like success is not going to come to my sofa. It's not going to come to my living room. I've got to go out and get it. Um, and with that, it's a perfect segue to this tour. So what happened was, 2019, they asked me if I wanted to come back. I was like, nah, I don't think anybody really cares. I had a small role in that Back to the Future movie, and that seemed to be what most of the people were coming for, 10 years ago. And he goes, "Well, the industry's changed a lot, and it's a lot different now." And I said, It was kind of like, all right, kid, go ahead, give it your best shot. And he called me, and I won't mention the other people, but he said, well, they want you to do a reunion show with these two people. And I was like, you know what? I'll do it with anyone but those two people, because those two people I tried to help out 10 years ago, and I put money in their pocket, like a lot of money in their pocket for a weekend, like 2 grand, 3 grand. And all they did was complain, and they wanted more, and they wanted to be divas. And again, I'm from Maryland, and I don't know, maybe it's my age, maybe it's just my outlook. I don't play any of that diva shit. I'm just not interested in it. It's a turnoff when other celebrities do it, especially at these cons, because most of the time, the people at the cons, we don't look good anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like you're this nice, beautiful young lady, but most of us at these cons, we don't look good. We're old. We're just it's not life's not been good to most of us, at these cons. I don't know if you've been to a con recently, but I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's not good. We're fucking ugly right now. I'll tell you right now. But it's true. It's true. You have to look deep to see the beauty in a lot of these older celebrities, and including myself. And I mean, I've just gotten used to calling myself a celebrity. It's like I got into an argument with somebody, is what happened, and somebody online said something about, oh, wow, you're a movie star, and I said, well, I'm not really a movie star, but I appreciate you saying that. And three people like jumped on me, and they were like, hey man, how can you say you're only in the greatest movie ever? If we say you're a movie star, you're a movie star. And I thought to myself, and I thought, you know what do I give a shit if the guy calls me a movie star? I've been called so much worse in my life. You know what I mean? I mean, movie star's a good thing, right? So I was like, don't, from now on, JJ, anybody calls you celebrity, movie star, whatever, you let them have it, because by not letting them have it, you're ruining their experience of it. And not to mention, people are paying you a lot of money for your signature. And because I'm on the higher end of signatures, but I give a lot of other things with it too. So getting to that part of it, um, I went to my first show, and I made $749 at this show back in April of 2011. It was one of the last shows that I did. And before I went and I was $25 for an autograph, but I included a selfie and a copy of my book, that book that I was telling you about, Jumpstart Your Success.
That's a
And so
killer deal.
I felt like I was giving a good deal. Now, remember, back then, 10 years ago, we didn't even think twice about a selfie. We were so happy that you would ask for our autograph. We were like, yeah, a selfie, absolutely. Do you need a ride home too? I'll whatever you need. And and so now, when I came back, I thought, well, everything's gone up. I mean, I remember when I was married talking to my wife about the price of lettuce. And I was like, well, shit, if the price of lettuce has gone up, why shouldn't my price go up in 10 years? So I said, you know what? I'm going to offer the same deal. I'm going to include the selfie. I'm not going to upcharge for a selfie. Selfie, $40. And that was about the going rate at the time when I came back. And and that was pretty much it. So I came back, it was $40, and needless to say, I made almost 7 times what I had made the first time. I made close to like 5 grand. And I was like, holy shit, something has definitely happened. And what's happened is all of my castmates from Back to the Future have been out there so long. And also, some of the bigger ones from the movie have now started doing cons in the last 5 years or 7 years now, since 2015. And there's so much stuff out there that people want my signature on, or need my signature on to complete their collections.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying they need it, but they're saying they need it. And I also happen to be only one of 6 people in all 3 Back to the Future films. Um, I don't know if you know this or not, but I was the original choice for Biff. You probably read that
I did read that.
somewhere.
Like,
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah, that's so real quick. They wanted Michael J. Fox originally for the role. He was doing a movie called he was doing a TV show called Family Ties at the time. The producers wouldn't let him out of the contract. They kept looking. They hired Eric Stoltz for the role of Marty McFly, and I was the first choice for Biff. I went back like 6, 7 times. Crispin Glover, with as many people associated with Back to the Future that talk bad about the guy, I have nothing but love for the guy. I have nothing but profound respect for the guy as an artist. I stay out of the controversy that he had with the filmmakers, but as an artist, he was incredible to work with and audition with. You know, Hollywood is a very, very competitive industry, especially among young people. And he was somebody that came up to me when I was auditioning for the part of Biff, and he said, "Hey, would you like to go over the scene?" And that's unheard of. I mean, you know, people just don't do that. Normally they're like paired together or whatever. So anyway, he came up to me and we did the reading, and it's the cafe scene where, hey, you got my homework, McFly, and I slapped the shit out of this guy. I mean, I didn't I didn't just slap him on the forehead like in the movie. I slapped his face. Or maybe he slapped him in the face. I don't remember in the movie. I don't watch it that much. But but I slapped his face so hard, and everybody started laughing in the room. The director, the producer, the guy behind the camera who was filming it, which just encourages me to slap him more. So I slapped him so hard. I mean, literally, his face was like red and pulpy
Oh,
after the first take. And they're cracking up and they're hysterical. And they go, okay, let's do it one more time. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to kill this guy. So we did it again. And after the second take, I said to Crispin, I was like, man, I am so sorry. Are you okay? He's like, yeah, no, that was great, man. Keep going.
oh,
Through tears, because he was such a giver and such a just a great. I mean, this whole interview has really, as I'm looking back at it now, it's really been about giving. It's been about giving and being of service and
living in the moment. And
living in the moment. And he is someone that just is so great to work with. He gives you so much to work off of. He is probably one of the best actors I've ever worked with. Him and Dermot Mulroney, another one, did TV movie I did called Daddy with Dermot Mulroney, and Patricia Arquette was in it too, and the late Danny Aiello. Um, just very giving, and you try to exemplify that. So back to giving, if we will. I was at $40, and then I got the idea to add $10 and have a raffle and donate a portion of the proceeds of whatever I made at these cons to charity. And so the first year, I did Team Fox for Parkinson's because it seemed like that was the thing to do and everybody else was doing it. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to change my charity. So ever since then, I've been doing Children's Hospitals of Nevada because I live in Las Vegas.
Mhm.
And so that's my charity. And if a show in particular is going for a particular charity, then I just adopt their charity for that particular show. But it's all kind of just about giving and receiving, receiving graciously too the money that I'm being paid. I don't know if you know who Tug McGraw is, but you probably know who Tim McGraw is, the
Yeah, but
country singer.
Tyler.
Tim McGraw is a country singer.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe he's married to Faith Hill. And his dad, though, was Tug McGraw, who was a professional baseball player. He was a pitcher with the Philadelphia Phillies. And Tug McGraw used to say, the reason why it's important that he said it is because he has a son that's probably become much more successful than he ever was. And that is teach your children to learn how to sign their signature because you never know how someday it may be worth something. And when I sign a piece, especially a cast piece, I've taken it to several appraisers, and it adds about $350 to the piece
Oh wow.
in value. On a cast piece, not just my signature on a photo. I don't think that's worth anything. I don't really know. I mean, I'm sure it's worth something, but anyway, it there's quite a bit of value, and I don't charge that, of course, $350. But um, so so yeah, in 2019 I did 3 cons. In 2020 I had 21 cons booked, and all were canceled because of COVID-19.
Yeah.
I did a thing at a movie theater, drive-in theater, and that was a hit. And these people have been really wonderful to me. At Misquamicut Beach Business Association at the drive-in there in Westerly, Rhode Island. They're bringing me back every year. This will be the 3rd year, and don't worry, I'm aware of the time. I'm wrapping it up.
Oh no.
Just so you know.
I just looked up at the time. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. I'm aware of it. So I'm wrapping it up, but you can cut this part out about me saying I'm wrapping it up. And so in 20 they did that, and it was a great thing. And then in 21 we did it again, and it felt like 21 was starting off the same way that 20 was, where cons were being canceled, and I thought, okay, what are we going to do? And then I got my Facebook I got my page, my personal page on Facebook taken down by some haters. And this guy, Adam Gradwell, I'll tell him because he's a fucking dick and he's a punk, and I hope everybody goes and fucking bashes him. But he started a page called Nerdy Geeky Podcast, and he wanted me to come on his podcast. And at that time, I wasn't doing any podcasts. I didn't really feel like anybody wanted to hear what I had to say or whatever. It was really more my thing than anything against him. But and then he formed an agency called Scene Stealers Agency. And what happened was, there was a fan, his name was Roy Swansboro. And Roy,
Honestly.
well, these people should, be reprimanded in some way. But Roy was a fan. And I said, hey, look, if you can get me anything in the UK, I'll give you 10%. And which I thought was great and generous. And it's the norm, is what it is. It's an agent commission for booking you. So he said, okay, great. Next thing I know, he formed an agency with this guy Adam, and Adam and I were okay. We had a decent conversation, and then 3 days later, they were going to put me with one of the other Back to the Future actors. And I had booked this Back to the Future actor on one of the biggest shows in the country, and he threw a diva fit. He wanted $4,000 for a guarantee, and 2 plane tickets, and because he wanted to bring his wife and the whole. And I was just like, dude, you know what? I'm going to bring you along on 10 different shows. You're trying to make as much money from this one show. We you either want to do it with me or you don't, And he's like, are you sure you want to play that card, JJ? Are you sure? And I'm like, dude, I'm the one bringing you deals. You're not bringing me deals, And so I broke it off with that guy, that cast member. And since then, I've had several promoters come to me after I've been booked on a show and said, hey, this guy is contacting us to come and do the show. Do you think we should add him? He was a cat. And I'm like, absolutely not. And I tell him the whole story. And I say, this guy's a diva. He's a punk. And he took a lot of money out of my pocket because I could never get back into that con that he ruined. And it was just him being greedy and selfish and rude. Wow. And to this day, he still has never said, hey, I'm sorry for the way I reacted to that.
He's one of those entitled self-absorbed.
He thinks he's bigger than what he is. I won't mention his name because that's just not right. But the guy that got me taken off Facebook, back to that story, I was trying to get in touch with this guy, Adam, to tell him that this thing went down with this other actor and to not pair me with him anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I had already told Roy, and then I was going to tell Adam, and I was like, but look, I have to go now. So can I call you later? And he's like, no, you can tell me right now. And I'm like, no, but I have to go right now. Can I call you later? And it wasn't like, no, but call me tomorrow or anything like that. It was, tell me now or that's it. And I was like,
Okay.
this guy's the agent, man. He's not supposed to be acting like that. He's being a dick, So I just thought, and again, I'm 57, man. I don't have time for divas and dicks and rude people. And not, I took care of my mom for 10 years. That was all the abuse that I was going to take, and having to deal with her and all the things that go with cleaning up after someone, and which it's not an easy thing to do, and to watch someone you love deteriorate. So I had been through enough pain, and I wasn't about to be through pain, if I have any say in it with other people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was just trying to tell him the story of what happened. And he was kind of a dick. He got off the conversation. I said to Roy, dude, what was that about? Roy's like, yeah, I don't know. That was really kind of rude. And I'm like, well, why don't you say something to it? And the reason why I bring Roy into it is because Roy never really told Adam what was what, that he was wrong. And Adam had done stuff like that to me several times. So after a while, I left the agency. He became bitter. And then he started sharing all this shit to other people and tried to ruin like private signings for me that I had already booked, and say, a lot of the cast don't get along with JJ because blah, blah, blah. The truth of the matter is, I don't do reunion shows. I do shows by myself. Part
Mm-hmm.
of it's because I don't need to do reunion shows. I, I don't need to do reunion shows. I'm not friends with these people. These people don't know me. You know who I'm friends with? Who I used to run with? Billy Zane and
Oh,
Casey Shamashka.
okay.
You know what I'm saying? The guys that played. You gonna be all right? Keep it in your pants,
I,
Joe.
I, I blacked
Keep
out for a second.
keep
Sorry.
it in your pants. Keep it in your pants, Joe. So yeah, it's like I would do shows with them. Now, I haven't seen Casey in a long time, but Billy and I used to actually hang out. Billy and I used to go to restaurants. I mean, he showed me some of these great. He's Greek, so he
Yes.
showed me this great Greek restaurant in California, and we went there maybe 3 or 4 different times. We had the best time. It was called Athenian Gardens. I don't even think it's there anymore. And I mean, but I have great memories of me and Billy. You know what I mean? So I would love to see him again on the con, whatever. Um, but everybody else, I was never friends with any of those other people. We didn't hang. We didn't. So I don't really care if I see him or not. That doesn't mean I wish them any bad. You
Right.
know. But at the same time, it's like I'm not that interested. And some of them, they need to kind of be in reunion shows. They need to be grouped because they've just been out there so long
Mm-hmm.
that it is what it is. And so this guy, in trying to sabotage me, Adam, he started writing things to people about how the other cast members were having problems with me and blah blah blah. And there were a couple. Remember the two I had told you about in the very very beginning, and that was Jersey HorrorCon, by the way, was the show. And I said to Jersey HorrorCon, or I said to the agent, listen, if they want to go with the other two guys, I'm totally cool with it. I understand those guys have been on the circuit longer than me. Not a problem. I'll step back. And what came back was, no, we're going to go with JJ over the other two guys. I was like, what? Really? Wow. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Thank you. And 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 it was great. It was a great moment. And but that was it. It was temporary. And then we got on to other shows. And but the bottom line is this: I hustle. I mean, I hustle. I don't wait for agents, I have like 3 or 4 different agents. I have other fans that I say, hey, you reach out, you get, I'll give you the 10%. You know, if you can get me booked, if you can just get me in touch with them and let me or one of my people close the deal, I'll still give you 10%. You know, and that goes for anybody else that's listening. It's an easy way to make money. If everybody's, you know, it's 400. You know, if I make 4 grand, it's $400. If I
Yeah.
make 2 grand, it's $200 for you just making a phone call or dropping an email.
Yeah.
So, and I offer that to anybody, whoever wants to do it. You know, you can do it, too, if you want. Um, but
I don't know
but
nobody. Ain't nobody. So.
but the other thing is, no, but still, I mean, submitting to, trust me, there's a lot of agents. You don't have to have a degree or anything to be an agent or to have a podcast or to do anything. It's just you do this because you're interested in doing it. You know, you have a passion for doing it. You do it regularly. I see your wall. You know what I mean? You're doing this, you're doing the other thing. What's the other thing? Scream Factory or something?
um, I don't know. My brain is in a mush right now.
You have 2 things on your wall. You
um,
have this. Any last words? And then you have
I just
that
have
you're
this.
what?
Yeah, I do this, and I just started a magazine based off of this.
What's the magazine?
Any last words magazine. So
No, there's something else on your description. It's on your page. You put it there. Where you're the
well,
oh,
the production company is Creepy Bastard Productions.
there you
So
go,
yeah.
creepy bastard. There we go. So you have that on there too. But the point is you're creating entities to try to do something or make something happen.
Yeah.
And that's the entrepreneur. That's the spirit. That's the entrepreneurial spirit. So it's kind of up to all of us. And I have that also. And I don't know how much longer I'm going to be having it, but I have it now. And so when I couldn't do those 21 shows in 2020, and this guy started sending messages to private signers that, uh, JJ Cohen's, an asshole. He's not to be trusted. He'll throw you under the bus first chance he gets, which is, anybody that knows me know that's like not even close to my character at all. Um, but I also am forthright. If you're not acting right, I will tell you. And I told him, and he didn't like that, and I blocked him. And I block a lot of people. And the reason why I block them is because it really has to do more with memory. So your name is Joe, right?
Mhm.
So let's say you and I have been friends for a while, and I love Joe. Joe's great. She's got a show. She's ambitious. She's pretty. She's got that great Hollister shirt on, and so now um, I have a falling out with Joe, and so now I unfriend Joe. But every time I try to do a search for my friend Joe Rodriguez and I put in J-O, Joe Gonsalves comes up. And then I'm reminded of the fight we had and what great times we had, and makes me sad. And I don't want to see that anymore. So I blocked Joe Gonsalves so that I don't have to see her anymore when I'm searching for someone else. And that's how the blocking thing came about originally for me. It
Mhm.
was really just a thing so I didn't have to see people's names when I would do it. And then I just said to all the people on my staff, look, people start arguing with anybody or whatever, block them. That's it. We don't have time. We're not going to get into it. Now, I don't post anything political. I don't post anything religious. If you look at my wall, I got 18,000 fans on JJ Cohen page, J period Cohen. And it's mostly like inspirational stuff, humor, or stuff I'm doing, like this show. I actually have a post ready to go as soon as we're done. It already says had a great time. I already had it pre-planned. I already had it pre-planned
You
because
don't
I
even
knew,
know. Like I
I
had a great
knew, I knew I was going to have a great time. So, so, um, but this guy tried to ruin shit, and he tried to ruin people. And I have a staff. I have a staff of like 6 people, and they rely on me to make money so that I can pay them and they can pay their bills and feed their kids and feed their families. And I take that responsibility very fucking seriously. I don't take myself seriously, but I take that responsibility and my job very seriously. I take playing poker very seriously too, tournament poker. And so when somebody fucks with that, it's not good, that we become war. It's like it's war. And so this guy, because I blocked him and he started doing that stuff, I guess I was still thriving. And so he got together, and I had gotten off the phone this particular day, with Ari Lehman. You know who Ari Lehman is?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, not to name drop because it's kind of stupid mentioning, but Ari Lehman is he was the guy that played Jason, the original Jason in Friday the 13th, the boy in the lake.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That comes out. He was only on for about 10 seconds, whatever. Yeah. But I was talking to him on the phone, and he was telling me about comic book and toy stores. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about Dominic Pace. Dominic Pace is somebody that played Gecko in The Mandalorian, 1 or 2 episodes. He's a bounty hunter. He wears a mask. You can't even really see his face. But he's someone that again, just hustled and turned in this small part into a hustle. And so he started touring a lot of comic book and toy stores. Mm-hmm. And he's a part of Star Wars universe, right? So it put the idea in my head. I finished this conversation with Ari. I was so excited. I sent a private message to Dominic, and I said, hey, I just spoke with Ari. I can't wait to start doing these things. I'm a huge fan of yours and what you're doing and your work ethic. It's fantastic. This guy's 20 years younger than me, something like that. And I said, and he said, oh, yeah, Ari's great. And he sent me a friend request. And I went to go click accept, and my whole page went down.
What?
And then it asked me for ID, and I sent them my passport. I sent them my driver's license. And this is what they said. Hi, JJ. They actually called me JJ, by the way. They said, hi, JJ. We've received your documentation, but after further review, we see you still continue to go against our community standards. I've had that page since 2010. And therefore, your page will remain down. There will be no further review. This decision is final. And that was my reaction. My mouth hung open. I said, you got to be kidding. What? There's no recourse? So haters.
It's not people doing it. It's fucking AI and shit anymore. It's bullshit.
Haters think that they have deep pockets and they have deep intelligence, but they don't have near what I got. And you want to take me on, fucker? Okay, let's see what happens. So I contact my IT guy and I say, look, this is what happened, blah, blah, blah. He contacts his guy at Facebook. Now, admittedly, the guy at Facebook was like, oh, shit, I shouldn't be doing this. I'm going to get in trouble, And he's like, listen, JJ's a good guy. He doesn't deserve to have this happen. This is what happened. It's really fucked up, blah, blah, blah. And I had 5,000 people on my page with 2,700 pending friend requests. Damn. And the reason why that's important, and I mentioned that, is because when that page got taken down, I had so many people send me private messages and to my business manager saying, who do you think you are? You think you're so great, blah, 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 blah. Now, I had people doing that because I couldn't accept their friendship because I'd already, Facebook allows you only 5,000.
Yeah.
So I had people doing that already, and I thought, well, fuck this. I'm not going to explain it to this guy. It's not my fault. It's Facebook, And I was like, I don't have time to explain that to everything. You can follow me if you find it, if you're that important and want to stay connected to me or think I am, then stay connected to me, or go like my fan page and we can interact over there. Mm-hmm. So when it got taken down, I only knew about 500 of those people, like personally.
Right.
That means that 7,000 people all of a sudden think I blocked them. because my page is taken down. And being blocked is one of the most hurtful things. I don't know if you've ever been blocked. Have you ever been blocked?
A couple times. I really could give a shit, honestly. I'm like, oh.
Well, if you had a relationship with the person, or you thought you had a good relationship with the person, and then they unfriend you or they block you, it's just it's like being dismissed,
Yeah.
totally dismissed, and you can't say anything back. Hey man, why'd you do that? But you don't even have any recourse, and it's hurtful.
Right.
So I know there was a lot of pain and a lot of people, and that's what he wanted. He wanted to create that, where a lot of people just wound up hating me. And so what happened was, I went to my IT guy and I said, "Can you tell me what happened?" He called the Facebook guy. The Facebook guy said, "Okay, here's what's going on." He says, so he goes, "JJ, are you sitting down?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, if somebody complains about your profile, and Joe, this could happen to anybody."
Oh, I know. I know.
So if somebody complains about your profile 3 times in a 24-hour period, your account gets flagged. Okay. And I said, okay. And he goes, well, you had 22 complaints in a short amount of time. And I said, 22 complaints? You got to be kidding me. What were the complaints? And he goes, well, the top complaint was that you were a celebrity impersonating JJ Cohen. Or that you were a person impersonating the celebrity known as JJ Cohen.
Oh, wow.
And
Even though
I
you
said, listen, no offense to myself, but I mean, if you're going to impersonate a celebrity, why would you pick JJ Cohen? You know? And I said, and then he said, okay, what was the second thing? And he said, the second thing was that you were scamming people out of money. And I said,
my God.
I wasn't scam. What are you talking about? All my deals, any deals people wanted to buy a pop or this or that, it was all done through private messaging.
Mm-hmm.
And I would post something on my wall and say, hey, here's my new pops. If you're interested, send me a private message. I'll give you the details, etc. And it was that simple. Somebody would send me an email, hey, I like the pops. What can you tell me about them? How much are they? Where can I buy them? I'd be like, well, it could PayPal. They're this much, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
blah. And that's it. I had people complain to me, why don't you have a website? It makes it more official. I said, listen, I'm not interested in what's right or what's PC. I'm interested in efficiency. I've done 100% of my sales through private messaging. A website is in the works, but it's not going to happen overnight. If you
Yeah.
don't feel safe buying from me this way, don't. It's okay. Wait till I see you at a con, or you don't have to buy it at all. I'm totally okay with that too. You know. So 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 these were things that happened. Okay. So now the third thing was, he said, "Are you ready for the third thing?" He said, harassment. And I said, harassment. Now, I'm sure you get this because you're a pretty girl. You probably get unwarranted pictures, unwarranted advances. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I'm looking
I
at the look on your face.
God. So
You don't get what?
I don't get the photos. Thank God. I don't get the photos.
Okay. Okay. So, but people hit on you and people, unsolicited stuff, etc. Right? I imagine a lot of women get that. Um, I've had women send me pictures on a regular basis for years. And I was like, okay, well, hey, okay. I'm a man. I'm a man. Nothing wrong with a picture. I'm not sending pictures, but I don't mind looking at them.
Right.
Um, but then what would happen was, I would get these other things like, I'm Jewish, right? I would get these things like, Hitler was right. Go in an oven. Why don't you go put yourself in an oven and kill yourself? Why don't you're a piece of shit. Why don't you go crawl back up your mother's,
Well,
I
that
won't
has
say I won't say the word. Yeah, I mean, some people were just really, really fucking rude, and I won't say some. There were a lot. I mean, I've had like at least 100 of those, and
cool.
and I didn't even know these people, and it's just so it was part of the whole public figure social media thing, and I was like, okay, well, whatever, just block them. But you're at dinner that night and you're eating some pineapple or something, and you just start thinking, God, why would that guy send me that? And it does. It bothers you, you know.
Yeah.
So you try not to. I'm a meditator, you know, so I try not to let it bother me. But in wrapping up this part of it, um, he said, and the last thing is they were all from the UK. And I said, oh, I know who this is now. It's that fucking Adam Gradwell, you know. And that was it. And he got me taken down. There's nothing I can do about it. I've tried several times to get back on, start new accounts. I started an Instagram thing. Um, and you know, I have the fan page, which other people allow me to post on, and they post on for me. I'm grateful that I have a team that is loyal, that helped me out. And how do you get back at somebody that takes down your Facebook account to try to ruin you? I'll tell you how. You go and you plan a 19-city tour in 25 days around the country at comic book and toy stores and say, there, eat some of that. And
And
then this year I booked 16 cons. I have 12 pending, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the 12. Why? Because we're right now in the process of booking 75 comic book and toy stores in between the cons. So it's, I mean,
hell yeah.
I'm resting now, but come June 6th, I leave for Fremont, California. I'm doing, at the end of this month, I'm doing Phoenix Fan Fusion.
Mm-hmm.
Should be like 30 to 60,000 people at this event,
Hell yeah.
which is going to be great. It's huge. I mean, it's super, super huge. And then June 6th, I leave, and I'm basically at a different comic book or toy store or con for the until October 1st.
Wow.
So for the next 5 months, I'll be on tour on the road, and that's it, man. Just there's a lot of people that can't make it to the cons. Maybe they don't have the money to pay the con price and get in. Maybe they're just busy that weekend. So I say, okay, I'll come to you. You know, I'll come to your neighborhood. I'll try the best I can to come as close to you as possible. So again, I don't have kids. My legacy is going to be the people I can touch between now and the time that I die. Stay tuned to my Instagram and to my um, Facebook for details on where I'm appearing, when I'm appearing. Hopefully, you and your audience, and you too, especially, you know, because I had this experience with you. Thank you for having me again. And if you've enjoyed it, I hope you got something out of it besides just a conversation. I hope somebody learned something new or just is thinking about something in a different way they perhaps wasn't before we talked. And if not, then my name is Adam Gradwell. And if you loved it, then my name is JJ Cohen. So thanks you, and thanks you.
Thanks, you.
With an S.
You just had a
Uh,
toe moment. I'm so proud.
I did. It gets harder and harder to talk. I went to bed last night at 3 a.m. and I was like, oh man, this chick hasn't sent me anything. I wonder if she still
I'll,
knows we're doing this thing tomorrow.
I'll
No,
shoot.
I figured. No, I figured. But I was like, you didn't send me anything like, hey, just confirming for tomorrow. So I was like, I wonder if we're still even doing this.
No,
So
I'm
that's why I sent you that thing. But I'm glad we did,
so,
and I really appreciate you having me. And now I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm eating. You know, going on tour when you go on that long, it's like going on vacation. You know, it's really tough to stay in shape, and it's tough to eat good and exercise. And I'm really going to make a concerted effort. Because can I tell you one other thing? But you got to promise me not to feel sad.
okay.
Last year, I went to the doctor, and the doctor said if you don't do something drastic about your weight in the next 2 years, then you will be dead in 5.
Oh wow.
And the reason why that was important is because I was 55 when he said that to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I mentioned to you earlier that my sister died in 2019 at 57,
Mm-hmm.
which would be in 2 years. and I'll be 57 in 2 months or next month. And my father died at 60, which would be 5 years from where it was. So it was very symbolic. I'm sad to say and not proud to say that I tried as much as I could to lose weight, but it was just too stressful last year. I didn't do much. I'm now heavier than I've ever been. I'm 320 pounds. Well, I was 330, so we're going in the right direction. But we keep bouncing now. But for the longest time, I was never higher than 315 and rarely higher than 300. So I'm going to the gym. I'm eating right, trying to be as healthy as I can before the tour starts, and we'll continue to try to do that throughout the tour. So if anybody sees me on the tour, please remind me that to eat my vegetables, basically.
You know what? If you see JJ, I implore you to bring him some pineapple. Bring him
Yes.
a nice yummy salad. Bring him a protein bar.
Yes. Yeah. No protein bar. No protein bar.
No protein
But
bars.
no, it's yummy salad and pineapple. That's edamame beans.
Ooh,
All those things, yeah, would be great.
Well, let me know if you're down in the Southern California area, doing a comic book store or something like that.
I couldn't get to. Well, I'll tell you the best way to do it, because I interact with so many people, and they always tell me, "Hey, let me know when you're in my area." Are you on my fan page? Have you liked the page? Not follow, but liked it?
I think I might have. I'll have to go back and look. I've been kind of sparse on social media the past
Well,
couple weeks.
if you like the fan page and you get all the notifications, you have to kind of set your settings. Then that's the best way to kind of stay informed.
Okay.
Because I'll be honest, I smoked a lot of weed in the 80s. I'll forget who to reach out to, and people like, oh, you were right here. But I mean, I would love you to come down and be anywhere I am, because you're wonderful, and I like your message.
Thank you very much, and I really do appreciate you taking the time to come on today.
It's my pleasure.